ॐ पार्थाय प्रतिबोधितां भगवता नारायणेन स्वयं व्यासेन ग्रथितां पुराणमुनिना मध्ये महाभारतम् अद्वैतामृतवर्षिणीं भगवतीम् अष्टादशाध्यायिनीं त्वामनुसन्दधामि भगवद्गीते भवद्वेषिणी नमोऽस्तु ते व्यासविशालबुद्धे पुल्लारविन्दायतपत्रनेत्र येन त्वया भारततैलपूर्णः प्रज्वालितो ज्ञानमयप्रदीपः प्रपन्नपारिजाताय स्तोत्रवेत्रैकपाणये ज्ञानमुद्राय कृष्णाय गीतामृतदुहे नमः। ओम श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। On this 28th of February in India, we are happy to start the 8th chapter of Srimad Bhagavad Geetā. Having completed 2 weeks ago the 7th chapter, which was Jnana Vijnana Yoga. Here we have Akshara Brahma Yoga, which is sometimes called Taraka Brahma Yoga. Either way, it is about Brahma. It is about the supreme reality, Brahman, and it is about how to reach Brahman. As all of you surely remember, at the end of the 7th chapter, Sri Krishna, the most intelligent one, the repository of supreme intelligence, and mind you, in life, what matters is intelligence, pure intelligence. Not your looks, not your health, not your bank balance, not your popularity. All of them are Ayaram Gayaram. If you have an awakened intelligence, you are better off. You are always in command of situations. Intelligence, Chit, in its purest form, it has nothing to do with any specific topic. It is that very principle of knowing anything. And that principle then plays through, acts through any subject, any topic, any matter. Sri Krishna, therefore, above all, is the embodiment of supreme intelligence, and in this avatar, as the son of Devaki and Vasudeva, Lord Krishna said towards the end of the last chapter, Arjuna, those who completely resort to me, take shelter in me and adore me, they come to know what Brahma is. Arjuna becomes curious. What Brahma? Which Brahma are you talking about? Then before even Arjuna could ask anything, Sri Krishna says, they also come to know Adhyatma. Before a question is answered, a second question is raised. Then there is the third. Sri Krishna says they come to know karma. Te brahma tad vidut kritsam Adhyatmam karma chakhinam. Rama Rama, what is this karma now? In what sense is it used by the Lord? And four more seeds of questions. Sri Krishna sows seeds. Picking them up, Arjuna expresses the questions. The seed of Krishna Bija, gets into Arjuna and it opens up as 7 questions. Adi Bhuta, Adi Daiva, Adi Yajna, 4, 5, 6. Then Prayana Kale. At the time of dying, how is one to know the supreme truth? Sri Krishna says, how people can know me when they are on their final journey. Antima Yatra. Many a time a funeral procession is called Antima Yatra. This lady had traveled all over the world. Tokyo to London, Sydney to Paris, Delhi to Bangkok, and locally also Hyderabad to Vijayawada. So much of travel she did. There are some people, householders as well as sannyasis. Somehow it is their problem. They can't sit at one place. We have one wonderful Swamiji, Swami Anubhavananji, who makes everybody laugh. His famous talks are titled Mauj Mein Raho. Be in bliss. I'm watching him for last 35 years easily. He is always traveling. Pujya Gurudev posted him in Chinmaya Mission, Chicago. He hardly stayed there. Half the time he is going here and there. He was posted in California. There also, half the time he is there, half the time not seen. Giving lectures on Vedanta only, not for anything else. Then they posted him in New Delhi. That's why again, after some years again, I got in touch with him. But half the time, he was in the Himalayas. In fact, he generated an acronym, SCOUT. The Chinmaya Mission News Bulletin of New Delhi had always a page, SCOW, SCOW. I was very curious. I said, what is this SCOW? Spiritual camp on wheels. Because half the lectures were, of course, the lectures were mostly in ashrams in Haridwar. Next day lecture is Rishikesh. Next day lecture is in Uttarkashi. Another day lecture is somewhere in between. And some other lecture is at another ashram. All the time moving. Spiritual camp on wheels. And you know, among your family members, among your friends and relatives, there are some, we don't know why, they are all the time moving. Pujya Swami Chinmayananda himself, when people asked him, where do you live, Swamiji? He said, I live out of suitcase. I live out of suitcase. Like a storm he would come, like a storm he would go. Very active. But we are not talking about that yatra from Delhi to Haridwar or Bombay to Taipei. No. Antima yatra of a human being. Prayana Kale. Prakarshena yana. Pra means in a very intense manner. Sri Krishna said, during that prayana, how someone may know me, you must understand. Accordingly, the 8th chapter, which is, let me tell you, if you especially like short chapters, many like short chapters. They get scared at the length of the chapter. Some others like very long chapters. Again, loke vinna ruchi. People have different tastes. If you like short chapters, this is one of the very short chapters of the Gita. Only 28 verses. But in those 28 verses, oh my, a lot of wisdom is packed. The 8th chapter begins with 2 shlokas in the mouth of Arjuna, which are no other than asking, what is Brahma, what is Adhyatma, what is Karma, what is Adibhuta, Adidaiva, Adhyatma, and what is finally Brahma, Adhyatma, Karma, Adibhuta, Adidaiva, and Adhyajna. What is Adhyajna? And finally, how are we to know you when we are at our final journey? Then Sri Krishna's terrific answers come out in 26 verses for both Dana Margis and Bhakti Margis. This 8th chapter can be a treat indeed. It is an amazing chapter. I am saying this because don't we all as seekers every now and then get a bit lost? We lose motivation. Somehow we have some energy issue. Not physical energy. That also happens sometimes. But some emotional energy. Specifically with respect to sadhana or spiritual study. If a new movie has come, Article 370 at a theater very near my house, and the last show, maybe at 9 p.m., energy available. Let us go see it. Let us see how the movie has covered the saga of Article 370, how Prime Minister Modi and Home Minister Amit Shah and others stood firm and ensured that Article 370 was removed, which was an amendment to the Constitution. It was removed. So, one of my students in Bombay is very excited about such topics. I guess yesterday or the day before it was released. He went yesterday and saw the movie. This morning, before I could do some Sri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram, I saw the message from him. Swamiji, Article 370, terrific movie, you should see it. I will see it after a year, hopefully, when it comes on YouTube or something. I also have some interest in these issues because the clash of cultures, the clash of perceptions, and the play of various powers, various international forces also playing into an issue between two countries, and international forces see their own vested interest. If not anything else, there are some international forces which simply like countries like India and Pakistan to be at war always. If these two countries are at war, then their financial interest, their economic interest, their many interests are served. How sad. There are many things to learn in such movies, in such biopics. Suppose there is a movie on MS Dhoni. I have not seen it. But people say it's not about Dhoni, it is not about cricket, but it's about what Bhagavad Geetā teaches. Focus. Tatparata, Sayyatendriya, Shraddhavan Labate Jnanam, Tatparaha Sayyatendriya. Chapter 4. So leave aside Dhoni, leave aside cricket. You see in the character over there, somebody who has faith in himself, Shraddha. Somebody who has certain focus, tatparata, and somebody, for the sake of the goal before him, is able to control various urges in him. Urges for enjoyment, pleasure, mauj masti. He says later, I am now focusing on achieving this goal. So, we have energy for watching TV, watching WhatsApp messages. But don't we sometimes feel, oh, today I will skip my japa, I'll skip my meditation. After all, I have got the essence of Vedanta. Finally, what matters is Jnanam. I have the Jnanam, What Jnanam? You know only words. For those words to become true Jnanam, real understanding, you need to do certain upasana, certain meditation, certain practice. Then chapter 8 gives inspiring shlokas. First of all, advising us not to postpone remembrance of God till the last breath. Tasmat sarveshu kaleshu ma manusmara yudhyacha, says Sri Krishna. Sarveshu kaleshu. At all time, think of God and keep doing your duty. That means at all time doesn't mean you let go of your duty, ask somebody else to do things, pass the buck, move the file, throw all work on somebody else's lap, you do it. I have to remember God. God won't like it. We have to do our duty, but we can cut a whole lot of things that we do in daily life which are not our duty. And thereby remember God maximum possible. Not only does Sri Krishna advise us to remember him all the time, which ensures that we remember him at the time of death, but also gives certain valuable insights. Fix your attention to the midpoint of the eyebrows. Hold your breath. Regulate your breathing. Become single-pointed. And if you can, take up the great mantra, Om. Among the 2 or 3 places where Bhagavad Geetā touches upon Om, this chapter 8 is the forerunner. Chapter 8 says, it is Om that you need to focus on. Om iti Brahma. Om ityekaksharam Brahma. Yaharam ma manusmaram. There is a shloka which we will be seeing. Om Ityekaksharam Brahma. So, about how we may practice that rising higher and higher on the plane of consciousness or in the scale of consciousness. Bhagavan also tells us that it's in your hands. If you are least evolved, you also may go to heaven, but after some time, back to the earth. Your days in heaven are a closed book. You're back on the earth. If you go on a 10-day tour of Europe, or if you live in United States, Singapore, or Gulf, in very clean, prosperous environments for 12 years, 15 years. The other day I met somebody who was engaged in a simple school in Varanasi till 1984 at a young age. Then she and her husband went to the United States. And she said 36 years, 32 years, she and her husband lived in Philadelphia. And now they didn't come back to some prosperous, hi-fi city of India with skyscrapers and fancy things. They came back again to the simple J. Krishnamurti campus of Varanasi. I was surprised. Next time I meet them, I would like to know from them. After all that glitter and glamour of United States, what made you go back to the very simple environment of the J. Krishnamurti school in Varanasi? The Telugu couple are very happy, very peaceful. Both husband and wife have taken up again some role in the Krishnamurti Education Center. The lady herself welcomed some 50 of us who went and spent 2 or 3 hours in the J. Krishnamurti school in Varanasi, which was my home for 10 years in the early 2000s. So I am saying this is, if you have spent many years in the United States, then said goodbye and are now living in India, at least you will have memories of what you did in Philadelphia or San Francisco, Oregon or Florida, Chicago or Houston, wherever. You'll have memories. When you go to heaven and come back, hardly anybody has any memory of heaven. I don't have memories of heaven where I must have gone a few times. Some of you may have memories of heaven where you had gone before taking this birth. Please share it on the chat box if you can. Especially if you had any time got very close to Indra. If you had ever got a chance to see Urvashi, Tilottama or Menaka dance before Indra, you also watched. Or anytime Narada came and gave some spiritual class. I don't remember anything about the heaven. Though in all likelihood, I must have gone to heaven a few times before coming to the earth in this birth. That's what the Shastras say. Those who have seen heaven a couple of times, when they come back on the earth, they are likely to take up Vedanta more seriously. Because they would have seen the short-lived nature of even Swarga. Now in this chapter, like in no other chapter of Bhagavad Geetā, Sri Krishna talks of certain amount of merit which takes us to heaven but brings us back, certain increased amount of merit which takes us to heaven, not just heaven, even to some higher worlds, and we don't come back, nor do we get liberated immediately after a long time there. Lord Brahma, Chaturmukha Brahma himself gives to us the final liberating insight. We get liberated there. And then without saying that here, there are some blessed ones who don't have to go to heaven, who don't have to go to Brahmaloka. They get liberated here itself, Jivan Mukti. So the path which people take, which Jivatmas take, where there is return, is symbolically called Krishna Marga. Symbolically, the black doesn't literally mean black. And the white doesn't mean literally white. Just as in electrical wiring, one wire with red sheath is live wire, phase, and another wire with black is the return path in a circuit. And there may be a third wire, typically I guess green or some other color, neutral, three-phase plug. So it is symbolic. So electricians, as soon as they open up something, see the red wire. And if the previous electrician had followed the rules, followed the symbolism, more than symbolism, there is nothing more to that red color of the sheath. But phase and neutral and return path, and they have certain colors. Sri Krishna uses Shukla Krishne Gati Hete Jagata Shashwate Mate Ekaya Yati Anavrittim Anyaya Avartate Punaha Naite Sati Parthajanam Yogi Muhyati Kaschana. Never make the mistake of thinking, I have enough knowledge. Now I need only practice. Sorry. You might have read a lot of scripture. You might have even understood a lot of concepts. But oh dear, you are likely to forget. You are likely to not remember things at the time of need. Therefore, constantly read a little Swadhyaya every day of Gita, of Upanishad, of Viveka Chudamani. I'm not saying read all of them every day. Keep a window of time. If not anything else, just the shlokas. When you have some understanding of the meaning. Then your so-called practice, which is necessary, goes on a higher plane. Lord Krishna provides to hear principles, ideas, truths of the mystical world. It's in this chapter that Sri Krishna, thousands of years before Einstein had mentioned the relativity of time, says 1000 Mahayugas of a human being are just one day of Chaturmukha Brahma. And one night of Chaturmukha Brahma is equal to 1000 Mahayugas. Now the word used is Yuga, it means Mahayuga. And a Mahayuga is nothing but a packet of Kali Yuga, Dwapara Yuga, Treta Yuga, and Satya Yuga. Satya Yuga is also called Krita Yuga. One set of all the four yugas is a Mahayuga. Multiply it by 1000. Sahasra Yuga Paryantam Aharyad Brahmano Viduhu Ratrim yuga sahasrantam teho ratra vido janaha. Terrific shloka. Those who don't know much Sanskrit also would do well to recite Gita daily without even knowing the exact grammar and exact structure. They will know some powerful phrases like this. Sahasra Yuga Priyantam Aharyad Brahmana. But please read, please practice with the right pronunciation. Some people, even in their lectures, recite some shlokas, Rama Rama. They distort the shlokas. So you must listen carefully to good recitations. Bhagavad Geetā shlokas recited by Swami Brahmananda Ji, the head of Karnataka Chinmaya Mission. They are heard all over the world. When I travel in USA sometimes, somebody is driving me from house to a lecture venue. They play something. Then I smile. Oh, Brahmananji's Gita. Brahmananji's Stotra Mala. Or they are very familiar to me. Very clear, no hurry, and with a nice, pleasant background music. Then, even if you have not studied the Sanskrit, those beautiful words of Sri Krishna sink in, and it is a healthy influence. So I have given you a couple of glimpses of this 8th chapter, and Sri Krishna finally says, above all, what is important is you and I should be yogis. Yogi is somebody, if I may attempt a new definition, who has brought order in daily life, who has brought ending of inner conflict, who has arrived at plain living. You don't pretend like somebody who is up above, nor do you, for some clever reasons, pretend to be too humble. You present yourself as you are. You know your strengths, you know your shortcomings, and you are continuously working on getting better. You have that self-control. You won't take more than what you can bite on your plate. You take what is reasonable and do it. A yogi is difficult to describe. But if you are not a yogi, you know you are not a yogi. Because constantly you are torn apart by, why did I do this? Oh, I should not have said this. Oh my. If you are not a yogi, when you get up early also you will have a conflict. When you get up late also you will have a conflict. Because you are unnecessarily judgmental. If you are a yogi, you do the best and leave the rest and move on. The last line of this 8th chapter praises the yogi, the integrated human being, let's call it that way. Bhagavad Gita is about integrating us. We are fragmented, we are fractioned, we are broken into parts, into pieces. We are to be brought into a whole. That integrated person is praised. Yogi paramsthanam upaiti adyam. With this, let's get into the shlokas. We open with the very first shloka, But before that, there are two lines by Bhagavan Bhashyakara Sri Adi Shankaracharya. Shankaracharya says, Te Brahma Tad Vidu Kritsnam Ityadina Bhagavata Arjunasya Prashna Bijani Upadishtani. Bhagavata, Bhagavan, by the Lord, Prashna Bijani Upadishtani. By the Lord Sri Krishna, certain seeds of questions were imparted, were instructed to Arjuna. Arjunasya. Where did he do that? Well, in the last shloka, last two shlokas actually, 728 and 729. Te Brahma tad vidu krishnam adhyatmam karma chakinam sadi bhuta adidaivam nam sadi yajnam saye vidu, etc. So Arjuna is excited. I want to know more about this. Ataha, therefore, tat prashnartham, in order to question those concepts, Arjuna uvacha. So we read the first slokas now. Arjuna said, Kim tad brahma kim adhyatmam kim karma purushottama adhibhutam cha kim proktam adhidaivam kim uchyate adhiyajnaha katham kotra dehesmin madhusudana prayana kale cha katham neyosi niyatatmavihi. Very nice, very simple. Looking at what Sri Krishna had mentioned, the questions are created. Okay, what does it mean? What actually is Arjuna asking? Kim tad Brahma? What is that Brahman? Today we have a leader in a certain country whose name is Kim. Somebody went to him, the dictator, head of North Korea. They asked him a question in Sanskrit. Bhavataha nama Kim? What's your name, sir? And he answered in Sanskrit, Mama nama Kim. Kim Jong-un or something. His name is Kim. Arjuna is not asking about the North Korean dictator, a very crazy guy indeed. Though people in other countries outwardly are very sober, but they are crazy in their own ways. Trump and Biden, Putin and so many others are also crazy. They also work havoc in the world. They also kill tens of thousands of innocent civilians. They also play dice in such a way that countries like India and Pakistan go on fighting and they watch from a distance. Afghanistan goes through so much of turmoil and they finally, in a politically correct manner, they get out. They get in also in a politically correct manner. They get out also in a political correct manner. They interfere in Vietnam or so many, practically in so many parts of the world. They get into it with some very wonderful reasons broadcast. Hidden reasons, God knows. Then at the right time they withdraw also. So I am not sure who is more crazy, Kim in North Korea or some George Bush or almost Winston Churchill, who received a Nobel Prize for literature, I guess. But with whatever knowledge I have of Winston Churchill, I have no respect for him. He actually ordered the return of a big ship with lot of food and other supplies to lakhs of people starving in Bengal. The ship was approaching Calcutta harbor, but he's sitting in London. Winston Churchill ordered, let that ship come back. And his deputy said, sir, then all those people in Bengal will die. I am told that Winston Churchill, who had a powerful English, and this was a misuse of good English, he said, maybe with this big cigarette in his hand, let those worms and insects die, like the ship should come back. So these people did not have a heart. These people did not have compassion. But they were very sophisticated, clever. They knew what to say at what time. They knew the pulse of the international political scenario. They especially knew the mind of their supporters. They would keep their supporters in good humor. Anyway, Kim Tad Brahma. I don't blame only international figures. In every village of ours, in every town of ours, in India itself, there are some clever people, very clever people, who enjoy making two people fight and they get the benefit. They somehow maintain their position. So this, on a broader context, I must say, why blame superpowers or heads of superpowers? This is the problem of what some author called the selfish gene in a human being. Swartha. There is a selfish gene in a human being in a remote village of Orissa or Kerala or in the power corridors of Kremlin or Pentagon. The same selfish gene operates. If you and I are truly interested in coming upon the truly good, then we must work on the self, overcome this selfish tendency in us, constantly cleanse our own bosom. So here Arjuna says, what is that Brahma? And what is Adhyatma? You mentioned a technical word, which I went above my head. And karma, you already talked so much about karma, but again you mentioned karma. Any new meaning? And what is Adhibhuta? What is Adhidaiva? Adhibhuta, something presiding over living beings. Bhuta. Adhidaiva, something presiding over celestial forces. Daiva. Adhiyajna, something that is presiding over those Vedic rituals which are a mystery of their own. And finally, Sri Krishna, I've been listening very attentively. You mentioned that wise people know me. They know me. They bear me in their mind when they are dying. Prayana kale katham sin yatatmavi. They are niyatatmas. They are those with proper self-control. Grahasthas or unmarried, sannyasis or householders, rishis, no matter what outwardly, but in their life, there is that quality of self-control. Modern times, there are people who may have bank balance, who may have 5 children, who may have roles and responsibilities in society. But if you closely watch, some people even today exist. They are niyatatmas. They are niyatatmas. Because children, bank balance, duties, responsibilities, dealing with money, etc. is there in one side. But they have a certain sadhana in them, and sometimes even swamis and brahmacharis, etc., have to learn from them. Sometimes. Of course, swamis and brahmacharis have a greater opportunity to fine tune their life. Therefore, society respects them more. But to think about becoming niyatatma, a self-disciplined person, is not easy. Sometimes those who outwardly are in the world have a more regulated life. And those who are outwardly in an ashram, alas, it should not be so, but alas, they are still struggling with some of their urges and desires, some of their vasanas and tendencies. But Sri Krishna talks about niyatatmas, and Arjuna asks them, Katam deyosi niyatatmavihi. We shall see the answers to these in the next class. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.